The Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship here, presented to you by the FIA. We are about to go racing now for race number 2 of the weekend. The Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship will be covered right here by Jake Sanson.
Again, 2 races over the course of today, and we're going to start with race 2 of round 4. That's the reverse grid race, and that means that pole position for this one is going to go to the very talented Akshay Bora of RHGP. After the bad luck he suffered in qualifying, that will see him start at the back of the grid for race 3. He'll want to maximise his pole position for this reverse grid race. With this being the final race of the season in the United Arab Emirates, the final day of the season in the United Arab Emirates, I want to give a massive shout out to all of the incredible team here from the Emirates Motorsports organisation. They've been looking after us in fantastic fashion all the way through from the start of the season, and these fantastic men and women who have been giving their time voluntarily to make sure that we run in fantastic fashion out on the course. It's amazing. We cannot do any of these races without them, and they really have given us an incredible season and kept us safe and sound. The man himself there, the Sheriff, Imran, keeping an eye on things right up at the sharp end of the field. So what can we expect from the race today? Well, it's a little bit cooler this morning than it was same time 24 hours ago, but it's certainly going to be an interesting race with all of the drivers trying to find their feet out on the course. Come with me, let's see if we can have a chat with the man who makes it all happen out here on the course. The man himself, he shot the Sheriff, but he's taken his position. Here he is, there's no deputy on this grid. Imran, how are you and the team looking ahead of race number 2?
Yeah, well, good morning. Again, it's the last day of the ALMS series with the FR and F4, and these series are growing. You can see number of cars are growing, our team is increasing, and we are having a fun. It's a new driver, rookie drivers, and everything is going very, very smoothly now. Hoping the coming season, I want full grid here with all the cars, and you guys are doing an amazing job. And your commentary is fabulous.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much, Imran. We couldn't race this without you. Your men and women on the team have been absolutely fantastic from the start. No injuries over the course of this season. You guys have kept us very safe.
Thank you very much. This is our job. Safety is our prime motto. So we make sure everybody's safe on the grid, off the grid, on the garage, drivers, everyone is safe. You safe.
We're so grateful, Imran. Thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent stuff. So the drivers and the cars are just making their way through pit lane now at the end of their first reconnaissance lap. Then they'll bring the cars right here onto the starting grid and line up for position. So while they're doing that, we'll give you a few more clips from the previous rounds of the championship, but we're also going to catch up with one of the new recruits for this weekend. Back in at Santalot Racing in the Formula Regional Middle East paddock. It's an old friend, Nikita Bedrin.
We went racing in round number 1 here at Yas Marina, and plenty of action very much did unfold throughout that weekend. Plenty of overtakes and plenty of manoeuvres to happen. Of course, we were on the Grand Prix circuit in round number 1, leaving us plenty of action indeed. This was race number 1, incident at turn 1. Plenty of overtakes, a few lockups, but in the end, it was just Freddie Slater who couldn't be stopped. He won race number 1. We'll see what he can do in race number 2.
Nikita Bedrin, it's great to see you back in the Middle East once again, stepping up into Formula Regional with the Santalot Racing team. Only 2 rounds in the championship for you. I guess that must be kind of tactical with your race program this year.
I still don't even know if I'm doing the last one yet, but it was quite a last-minute call to come here. Got it on Tuesday morning. Before that, didn't know I was racing, so yeah, it's amazing to be here, amazing to be back. It's been a good day of testing yesterday. Qualifying today, let's hope for some good results.
Yeah, in testing, you were actually pretty fast, so it's almost like you've never been away from the Yas Marina circuit. You had a lot of experience here in the past in F4, jumping into Formula Regional. It must be a little bit of a different experience.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but considering what career I've had, I'm quite quick to adapt from one car to another, and it didn't take me a long time. So yeah, we've we seem to have quite positive pace. Hopefully we can keep it for qualifying.
So working with the Santalot Racing team, they've obviously been doing the first 3 rounds with Teofil. A lot of useful data to carry into the season. It must be quite nice to jump into a car that you know you can push pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, they've done a good job so far the whole season, so I hope to do the same this week. I'm quite confident. They've had the speed in the past 3 rounds, so I'm quite confident I'll have it as well.
And the way that the Yas Marina circuit layout is structured, very, very fast straights and long sweepers, some flat complexes, it actually kind of works to your driving style quite well. Is this a circuit that you feel quite at home at?
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite circuits. I've won almost every year I've raced here. Last year in the 4, the year before in the same championship. So it quite suits me quite well, I would say. The corner combinations are quite unique, I would say, because I don't feel any other track that feels similar to this. Also, the grip of the track is quite nice. It's just also very good for fighting, like so many positive things I can say about the circuit.
So with only 3 races here at Yas Marina to make an impact, what are your targets for this weekend?
I would say top 5. Top 5 is the goal.
And how achievable do you think that's going to be based on what you saw from the car and from yourself in the practice sessions? Do you think that there is a genuine chance of top 5 there?
For sure, considering that there is also a reversed race, I think that's a good thing if we are not so good in qualifying. We've been very quick yesterday. We've struggled more today. We see how qualifying goes, but I think for sure it's possible considering that I'm also good at racing.
Well, I'm sure all your fans are very happy to see you back here, and we'd love to see you on the podium. Good luck.
Thank you.
And for race 2 of the Yas Marina Circuits round of the championship, round 4 of the Formula Regional Middle East Championship certified by FIA. This is the last day of the season that we'll be racing in the United Arab Emirates. We've been here since January, of course, and now it's going to be a fascinating title run in the closing stages of this season. We're in for a really exciting showcase as the contenders will give us plenty to talk about. 88% humidity with high winds, a little bit warmer than yesterday as well, but the humidity is what's really going to kick in over the course of this final few stages of the season. And now we are ready for an exciting battle. In the championship fight, it's obviously still Evan Schulter who leads the way, 27 points clear of Freddie Slater. But this is the reverse grid race, so pole position goes to Akshay Bora, the Indian talent for RHGP. It'll be fascinating to see what he can do from pole position. He will take this opportunity with both hands, his sleeves rolled up, if he wants to grab his first Formula Regional victory. Can he get the job done? He's got the man we just heard from, Nikita Nedrin, lining up alongside him on the grid for Santalot after the great work that Teofil did in the early part of the season, picking up 3 podium finishes in 3 weekends. Nikita Nedrin will want to get a 4th and maybe even a race victory. It's all good preparation for the main body of his motorsport season in Europe. A Red Bull at the front end of the field, no surprises there, and it's the young Mexican talent, Ernesto Rivera for the Pinnacle Motorsport team, with that beautiful carbon helmet of his, deciding to go a very different way. He's cool, he's calm, he's collected, and his racecraft is getting better and better with every weekend that we take on. From Spanish F4 last year, straight into the world of Formula Regional. It's been a tough one for him, that's for sure. There is the young Frenchman, Honzo de Ligny, for the RHGP team. Could be a very interesting race for him. This is his best chance yet in 2025 of a Formula Regional Middle East race victory, and he'll want to take full advantage of the opportunity. Expect big things from him in this race. The championship contenders are coming through the field from lower back. Brando Madoa is actually the leading driver in the championship fight. 3rd position in the standings, 136 points, and still just about in touch with Evan Schulter and Freddie Slater in terms of mathematical chances to win the title. He could really use a bit of bad luck for them and great luck for him. 2 more races on home soil then for Rashid Al-Baheri for the Mumbai Falcons racing team in the beautiful Yazdi colours. This is the first campaign that these colours have ever been on a Formula Regional car. And for Rashid Al-Baheri, he's running out of chances to win at home. but he's still got 5 races left to take his first outright Formula Regional victory. There is Ganato Lee, the Japanese driver, Bruce to his mates, and great to see the Japanese talent for the ART Grand Prix team putting in a very strong performance over the course of this season, including a race victory earlier in the year, of course, in the reverse grid race at round 1. There is the championship leader, Evan Gilter, third in yesterday's first race, looking good as the championship leader, 27 points as we mentioned ahead of Freddie Slater. All he has to do is stay consistent and strong in these 2 races as he goes to Qatar with the championship lead. But can Freddie Slater do anything about that? Certainly one man who's not in the championship fight realistically, but still could get third in the championship, Yuga Chukwu, the young man for the McLaren junior team and part of the RHGP squad, drove brilliantly yesterday to bag a 2nd place finish, his 3rd podium of the season and his second place in a row. He took the victory in race 1 in Dubai, should have won race 3 here in round 2. Can he get a victory at Yas Marina? Freddie Slater has done that before. In fact, all 3 of his race victories have been on this configuration of the Yas Marina circuit. He loves the Grand Prix layout. He's in good position here and could take even more big points off his rivals. There's the Honda youngster, Taito Kato, the 3rd man in the ART Grand Prix squad, was really hoping for a little bit more from the races so far this weekend. But from 11th position on the grid, he's got very little to lose. 12th on the grid for the number 5, a very good performance indeed from the Australian talent, Aaron Cameron. One of his strongest races of the season yesterday for Evans Grand Prix. Now the Australian former Bathurst 1000 racer has a chance to get himself up amongst the points on a regular basis. The 45 next up, the Jack Attack is back. Jack Beaton wanting to charge his way forward from 13th on the grid. The Prema sticker on the helmet, of course. The Mumbai Falcons are engineered by Prema. So it'll be interesting to see what the Aussie talent can do with his chief rival alongside him on the grid. There's the Japanese star, Jin Nakamura, who's got a very difficult race 3 ahead of him after not setting a lap time in Q2. But from 14th on the grid, he's going to have it very tough. And there is James Headley, the British talent who is still making waves in every car he ever gets the chance to get behind the wheel of. He needs a full-time campaign. Any of those blue chips who want a decent pair of heels in their car look no further than James Headley. Here's the ever-improving American, Everett Stack, for the PHM racing team. Has definitely come alive a bit in the last 2 weekends in terms of his qualifying pace. And there is the British Indian talent and former Junior TKM Festival winner in the world of British karting, Aditya Kulkarni. Very big talent indeed, this young lad. Hopefully there's a lot more to come from him as the season progresses. We're almost ready to start the 2nd race of the weekend. We are ready to start the formation lap then, as the drivers will get the command. The green lights go on the top of the gantry, the green flag flies, and the drivers will head around the course in order to warm up the tyres and brakes. For Akshay Bora and Nikita Vedrin, their best chance yet for a race victory, but they're not going to be the only ones with a chance to do so. There's a lot of opportunities to go for broke and go for the glory. This circuit, one of the most spectacular in the world since it opened for the first time in 2009. The battle we are set to see over the next 28 minutes plus the additional lap. It was a bit of a safety car fest yesterday in the opening race. Unusual so far this season in Formula Regional. They've usually had a fairly decent time of it with only one safety car at most. But yesterday was a little bit more frenetic, I think because of the higher temperatures in general at the first point of the day, and also, of course, overnight. The winds had blown a lot of sand onto the circuit, so it made the track really tricky. The wind has been less overnight last night, and the temperatures are slightly warmer than they were 24 hours ago. So it should, on paper, make the circuit better in terms of grip, but the only drivers who are really going to know that for sure are the ones that are sat in the cockpit. Akshay Bora and Nikita Bedrin, front row of our starting grid from Ernesto Rivera, and also Deligny in the second row of the starting grid. Row 3, it's going to be a competitive one. We've got Brando Badoa alongside Reginol on home turf. Then Kanato Lee and Evan Schilter, the ART Grand Prix teammates. Ninth on the grid, it's Hugo Ogachukwu, and the man who won yesterday, Freddie Slater, P10. Then Taito Kato, 11th, alongside Aaron Cameron, the Australian, going off P12. Next up in the mix, it's going to be Jack Beaton alongside Jin Nakamura. And then we have James Headley from Great Britain alongside America's Everett Stack. 17th on the grid for Aditya Kulkarni. He's going to be going wheel to wheel with Lulu Che into the first corner. Then it is Yaroslav Vezalaho alongside Japan's Hyu Yamakoshi. 21st on the grid for Alex Sawyer of Vietnam. He'll be alongside Wang Shengwei. And then the drivers who really struggled yesterday to make an impression, Dorian Pan and Julian Pu, the two Mercedes F1 juniors who really had a tough time of it in race number 1. More comebacks are on the ready for Kai Darianani, Britain's Finley Green, and Italy's Matteo De Palo. So some good opportunities then, as the competitors are going to want to put on a really fast run into that first corner. A lot of overtaking is likely in this race, as it tends to happen in the reverse grid races. Will the leader going into the first corner still have the opportunity, 28 minutes plus the additional lap later, to be in first position? This is such a competitive race battle. You never know for sure who's going to have it best. All drivers warm the tyres and brakes to perfection. Then Freddie Slater getting himself ready to line up in P10 as Akshay Bora takes his position in pole. The big question now for the RHGP star is, can he sustain this for the entirety of the race? His brother Nikhil was a winner in Formula Reginol in the past. Now he's got a chance to emulate him and rewrite his own history. Alongside him, Nikita Bedrin for Saint-Lô, Ernesto Rivera, the Red Bull youngster, third on the grid. Enzo Deligny, very threatening in the RHGP car from fourth. And don't forget the drivers that have been stars all the way through the season. Evan Schilter going off 8th. Hugo Ogachukwu going off 9th. Freddie Slater, yesterday's winner, going off P10. Lots of big opportunities in the offing for the contenders. So the last couple of cars are in position. The green flag will fly at the back of the field, which it does now. And when the lights come on and then go out, we'll be racing for the second time. Let's race at Yas Marina once again. And it's a good start from Akshay Bora. He chops right across on Nikita Bedrin. Rivera's got a reasonable launch, but it's a great start for Brando Badoa. He's cut straight through into fourth position. Rashida Lahiri having to be a little bit more defensive through the first corner, as a couple of drivers going side by side that look like the fast starting Kanato Lee trying to take him on. But it's a perfect launch for Bora, as Nikita Bedrin is already hunting him down towards the W Hotel for the first time. And well done to Akshay Bora. He parks his car in the middle of the road. There's a little bit of contact. That's Deligny going wheel to wheel with Brando Badoa. And Deligny goes off the road, manages to recover. But that was very close indeed for Deligny and Badoa, who bang wheels in the W Hotel. They both get away with it. Deligny having lost some places. Bedrin goes wide on the penultimate run to the Formula 1 straight. But so far, so good. And out in front, it is the euphoric Akshay Bora, who's been able to give us a really strong run. Slight issues there with the camera on the run down the Formula 1 straight. Unfortunately, hopefully that will get reset in time for the next lap. But it's certainly been a very tricky run for Akshay Bora, out in the front position. There he is, leading the way still from Nikita Bedrin. Then Ernesto Rivera, running in third position, the Red Bull Junior. Go to the hairpin, Rivera having a little look on the inside of Bedrin on the opening lap already. And as they go down the back straight, we'll see our first few big moves, as there is Hugo Ogachukwu battling away with Rashid Al-Lahiri, and that's a problem for the 15. That's Aditya Kulkarni. He's got a puncture on the left front. So Aditya Kulkarni is going to pull off the road and retire. Very unfortunate indeed. Safety car. Safety car. There's a double yellow flag at turn 14. So I think Kulkarni was limping away from the scene of the incident, but there is an incident at the hotel. So it looks to me as though that's just out of sight of our cameras, unfortunately. So we've got two cars, maybe, or one car our straights. So we've got a double wave yellow at the 14. So a big difficulty for our contenders, but it looks as though Aaron Cameron, Jack Beaton, James Headley and Aditya Kulkarni were all involved in that one. How many cars were actually going to come around at the end of the lap? So into the pits comes Jack Beaton. So Beaton's come through in the pits with me, and so too has Yaroslav Zalaho in the Santa Lock. But it looks as though Cameron and Headley have not come around, and nor has Aditya Kulkarni. Ah, there is the number 5, so there is Aaron Cameron. But we still don't have James Headley, and we know that his teammate Aditya Kulkarni has already pulled off. So I'm afraid it's a very short race indeed for the Axel GP squad, as they don't even make it through the first lap. Both cars eliminated, as Yaroslav Zalaho is in the pits with damage. There is Aaron Cameron coming into the pit lane as well for the Evans Grand Prix team, so it's a busy pit lane. But I'm afraid the Axel GP interest in this race has already gone. Evans Grand Prix already changing a tyre there on the right front for Aaron Cameron. I hope that they can get him back out onto the circuit again without losing a lap. That's the key element. You cannot afford to lose a lap in this series. You will not have the chance to get it back again. But they're going past the scene of where the double yellow flag is, but as you can see, it's just out of range of our cameras. So unfortunately, you can't see where James Headley's car is parked, and it looks to me as though there's been an interesting incident on the first lap out of shot of our cameras. That's involved Beaton, Cameron, Zalaho, Headley and Kulkarni. I wonder if it was one or two drivers hitting each other and then a bit of a concertina effect as it gets very tight in that section. Yaroslav Zalaho's gone back out onto the circuit. I noticed that Jack Beaton and Aaron Cameron have not. So the two Australians are still sat in pit road, and the two Axel GP cars run the race. Right, Cameron's going back out onto the circuit. Let's see if we can see a replay. This is the aftermath as Kulkarni pulls off onto the turn 1 outfield. And yeah, we couldn't see anything else, unfortunately, but so it looks as though there's been 3 or 4 cars involved. It's going to be a difficult situation for the contenders. We'll see how it all continues as Akshay Bora leads the field around under safety car from Bedrin, Vera, Brandon Badua, Ganato Lee, and Evan Shieldshead has gone up into 6th position off the start. Here is the replay of the start. Well, I thought we were going to see a replay of the start, but Jack Beaton sadly has climbed out of the Mumbai Falcon. And that's game over for the Australian. Very unfortunate indeed for Jack Beaton. See there, he's got some damage to the left front tyre. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I mean, I know it's an old tyre, but even so, it's not in good condition for racing, so he's clearly had an incident on that first lap. Safety car still out on the course. It was rather an awkward position for James Headley's car to be recovered. So, a really difficult situation then for the contenders. But they're obviously behind the safety car once again, trying to keep its tyres and brakes warm, ready for the restart. Akshay Bora leads the way then, Nicky Tavera in second, and Nestor Nevada third from Brandon Badua, Ganato Lee, and Kevin Shieldshead, also Deligi and Freddie Slater, who's currently in 8th position in front of Yuval Chipru. Then it's Taito Kato and Jin Nakamura. Rashid Al-Aheli's had a terrible start, all the way down to 12th position for the Emirati. Not a good start indeed for him. Liuren Che in front of Everett Stack, who's really made good advantage of things. Hiyu Yamakoshi in 15th, up to 16th has come Dorian Pan. So she's made a spectacular start. Excellent work for the French driver. Here's a replay of the start. You can see there initially, Rashid Al-Aheli's made a reasonable start. I wonder if he made contact there, and it's caused a little bit of a concertina effect in the field, because he lost a lot of time after the initial launch. See, on this start, everything is clean as a whistle, and then of course Aditya Kulkarni brings the car to a stop. Now interestingly, there is an incident under investigation, and it is between Rashid Al-Aheli and Aditya Kulkarni. So I wonder if that's the reason why Rashid Al-Aheli lost all those positions. It certainly looks that way at the moment. There is the RHGP pit wall, trying to keep an eye on their man Akshay Bora in the hope that he manages to keep it nice and calm going into the next race, next start I should say. The safety car should be peeling lap, so I'll double check that the clean-up job looks to be relatively done from what we can gather. It's obviously going to be a tricky one for a couple of the drivers to get back into race position. Yaroslav Veselaho is caught up to the rest of the field. I'm not entirely sure that Aaron Cameron has. So we're about to find out whether we're going racing this time. Yes, safety car in at the end of this lap. The lights are out already. So Akshay Bora will back up the pack a little bit. They've started doing this very late in the day now to try and stop all of the concertina effects that we see in previous races and to try and tighten the field up a little bit. So Akshay Bora will now get his chance to charge away. Into the pits comes the safety car, and watch for Akshay Bora on the restart. Will he be into the lead as they cross the line? Certainly looking good for the moment, and it's green, 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 green for Akshay Bora, who leads the field around on this first start. Excellent run then for Akshay Bora. No problems at all in front of Bedrin and Rivera. Fourth place for Brandon Badura, and it's going to be side by side between Kanato Lee and Evan Shilter as into the pits comes Chuyan Pu, the Chinese driver, at the end of the outlap on going into the race lap again. And Brandon Badura's got ahead of Rivera, and he's already charging after Nikita Bedrin. So Brandon Badura is really on the charge. Excellent work from the Italian so far, as now Rivera's got to go defensive on Evan Shilter, who's up into 5th position. There is Chuyan Pu and the Pinnacle crew. They're changing tyres, so something's gone wrong for Chuyan Pu on the way back into the race and on the race restart. That is the worst timing to have to come into the pits, because now the whole field has gone. So Bora, Bedrin, Rivera, no longer in 3rd position, of course, because Brandon Badua's got ahead of him. So Brandon Badua now chasing after them. And on the inside line, that's going to be a charge from Jin Nakamura to try and take on, guess who? Taito Kato. Yet again, it's the Honda Junior versus the Toyota Junior. They've been glued together since the start of the season, pretty much, and they're going at it once again. So Akshay Bora has half a second on Nikita Bedrin. He's rather hoping that Brandon Badua is going to make his bid early, as Deligny has a look at Kanato Lee. Kanato Lee's going to have to go defensive off the turn. He does indeed. Also, Deligny's going to be attacking him as they work their magic again. Down the back straight. Akshay Bora still leading, but it looks like Brandon Badua could get a run here on Nikita Bedrin. They get the chance on the inside. Bedrin's going to go defensive in the Santa lock, as we expected him to do. Deligny's on the inside of Kanato Lee. Will that be enough? I know it's Evan Shilter, my apologies. Shilter has not got ahead of Kanato Lee just yet. I thought he managed him in the W Hotel section, but he didn't quite make it. So through they go, still making an interesting race of it. It's going to be tricky now to see if there's going to be a run off the turn as into the pits comes Finley Green. I've never known so many cars come into the pits in a Formula Regional race. So now we've got Finley Green coming in, having seen Veselaho, Cameron, Green, Chu, Beaton, and Aditya Kulkarni. Oh, sorry, Kulkarni didn't make it to the pits, but certainly should have done. As into the runoff area goes one of the ART Grand Prix cars. Was that Shilter making a mistake there? I think it might have been. Squeezed out on the far side, not able to get through the corner. So Bora leads Bedrin, Badua, Rivera, Kanato Lee. And now Evan Shilter has run off the road and has dropped in right in front of Freddie Slater. Also, Deligny got ahead of him. So Deligny is up at the 6th place. Shilter now going to have to struggle with his championship rival Freddie Slater, with Yugo Wakashipru right behind them, and the battling pair of Japanese novices, Kato and Nakamura for Honda and Toyota. Excellent run again. They continue to work their way down to the hairpin. Let's see if there's going to be a move. A little bit of a look there from Kanato Lee to hustle in on Ernesto Rivera. But out in front, it is still Akshay Bora, keeping ice cool in the lead of the race. Let's just keep it together. You've got another 16 and a half minutes of this, plus the additional lap, so technically it is about 20 minutes or so. Very tricky race this for Akshay Bora. It's up to the inside. Kanato Lee is threatening Ernesto Rivera. He's going to go very long on the brakes. Is there enough room on the inside? No, but he changed his tack. He decides to go slow in, fast out, and that could be a chance now for Kanato Lee to take on the move. So Kanato Lee looking for the gap on Ernesto Rivera. He's up against the pit wall nearly on the far side, up against the Armco, sorry. And now Kanato Lee is going to try and go long round the far side of Ernesto Rivera. Has he got what it takes to keep his foot in? Oh my word, he has! Finley Green Looked like he was getting out of the car. Now it looks like he's getting back in it again. But did Kanato Lee hold it? Yes, he did. Oh my word. What an overtake round the outside into the first corner. Absolutely incredible from Kanato Lee. He gets the job done on an Esther Nevada with very little grip on the outside of that hairpin and makes the move. I tell you what, we really have got our very own Bruce Lee. Kanato Lee, excellent work. Now Freddie Slater is not really challenging Evan Shields here. If anything, he's struggling to keep Young Chukwu at bay. So excellent performance. So let's see if it is going to be a wonderful charge forward now from the championship contenders. Slater was in front of Shields at the end of the lap there. I think it was actually Slater overshooting the chicane at the end of the straight, and then he had to give the place back to Shields. So that's how that happened. We did see him on my Falcon off at the end of the straight, and now Young Chukwu is lining up Slater. It's going to be a really interesting battle down the back straight. Slater's going to have to work very defensively to shake off Young Chukwu by the time they get to the braking zone, and we know how good Young Chukwu could be on the brakes. Down to the chicane. No moves yet. I think quite close enough to make the smack duck manoeuvre, although Reginol ahead, he thinks otherwise. He gets the move on Taito Kato. So good overtake there from Reginol ahead as he moves up past Taito Kato back into a decent points main position. And now we get to see whether he can take on Jin Nakamura. Meanwhile, here we go, Koshi, the other Japanese driver in this race, gets past Taito Kato as well. So excellent work as he continues to make light of the situation. Another great run there from Taito Kato. But it's not enough to keep Yamakoshi behind him. Yamakoshi gets through. And he's been given a warning for track limits there. I'm not entirely surprised because he's been really stretching the limits of this car. So far, so good. Still there, the Red Bull youngster in the pinnacle. Stay clear of also Zanighi and Evan Shields, the two Frenchmen. We've got one more there from Taito Kato, who's on the crest of points. He's just lost the points bank position though to Hiro Yamakoshi in the pinnacle. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how it continues to balance out. We'll see how it all continues to progress. We'll see how it runs in close proximity. Shimura, Nikita Bedrin, Brandon Madoa and Kanato Lee, then Ernesto Rivera, Arthur Danighi, Evan Shields, Freddie Slater, and then Yuga Chukwu. To the inside line, and it's Jin Nakamura starting to get close to his teammate there, Yuga Chukwu. It becomes a bit of a concertina effect without too many decent manoeuvres. So I would suspect that it's going to become pretty tight-fisted between them as they work through. Order. Bedrin is not closing up on Akshay Bora, and interestingly, Brandon Madua seems to have run out of puff with this set of tyres. He's not really getting closer to Bedrin, he's actually falling back a little bit. I wonder if he's just looking after tyres in this phase of the race, and then in another 5-6 minutes' time, he might have a bit of life left in him. This is exactly what Akshay Bora needs. Absolutely sensational. Let's see if it's going to continue. So let's see if Akshay Bora, Nikita Bedrin and Brandon Madoa continue on their way in the sharp end of the field. Kanato Lee P4 from Rivera, then Danighi, Shields, Slater, Yuga Chukwu, Nakamura, Aldaheri and Yamakoshi. That's the points paying positions at the moment. Then Taito Kato from Liu Che, Everett Stack, Alex Sawyer, Matteo De Palo and Dorian Bang. Then Kaito Yanani, Yaroslav Zalaho, Wong Shenwei and Aaron Cameron. And then Chuyan Hu is the only other runner in the race. Because we've had retirements for Vindy Green, Jack Beaton, James Headley and Aditya Kulkarni. Up the crest once again.
And with about 11.5 minutes to go in this one, Akshay Bora, the Indian driver, leads us here in race number 2. 11.5 minutes remaining, and Nikita Bedrin, who sits in second, he's just under a second behind, and Brenda Bardua, same thing as well. He sits in third, Kanato Lee in fourth, Riviera in fifth, Enzo Darlini in 6th, Evan Gilter, Freddie Slater, Ugo Chikbru in position 9, and Jin Nakamura in position 10. These two, Jin Nakamura and Ugo Chikbru, they continue to battle. Riviera and Enzo Darlini, who sits in position 5 and 6 for the moment. But yes, Akshay Bora, he does lead this race out in front, 0.7. You can see, you heard Jake Sanson there saying about how the tyres are probably falling off for Brando Bardua, and that seems to be the case with that battle between 2nd and 3rd. And he's actually falling back into the clutches of Kanato Lay. And meanwhile, just behind, Gilter and Freddie Slater going at it. This is battle for 7th and 8th championship rivals. Actually, they sit P7 and P8. Then Ugo Chikru, who also sits behind, is just taking note of this battle. Jin Nakamura also being under pressure by Rashid Al-Daheri. Now, Daheri does have a bit of a gap to Hiyu Yamakoshi in behind as well. We have 9 minutes 50 seconds to go here in race number 2 of the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship, and we have one round to go. Of course, that final round of the weekend, final round of the season was on this weekend, but of course we were only on round 3, so we are smashing through the rounds here, and we have this along with the final race of F1 Academy, and I still have to stream the final round of the High Tech Royal Super Series as well, before, of course, we end off our 2025 season. I might stream a bit of cricket, possibly. I'm not going to say that and commit with it. But yes, we are coming to the end of the racing season for 2025, so everything might just sort of start to calm down a little bit. But yes, Akshay Bora leads out in front, 0.7 of a second to Nikita Bedrin. Those two sit line astern. That margin's just increased on this lap by 0.8. Brando Bardua has lost a bit of time. He lost a 10th that lap to Kanato Lay. Al-Daheri further back, covering off Jin Nakamura, who sits in 11th. Those two line astern. Less than 900 separate them. They're side by side, heading through turn 1. That is Al-Daheri on the inside, Nakamura on the outside. Who holds that is Rashid Al-Daheri, who holds that position. Now, that margin a few moments ago was increased. No longer is. There, Al-Daheri, who sits in 10th, Nakamura in 11th, and Hiyu Yamakoshi in position 12. Ricky Liu in car 66, Taito Kato, Everett Stack, Matteo De Palo, new to this championship this year, joining in at the back end of the season. Car 8 of Matteo De Palo competed in the Formula Regional European Championship, along with his rival Freddie Slater, who sits in position 8 at the moment. But Matteo De Palo very much struggling in this race. 7 minutes 45 seconds to go. This race is very much calmed down, very much like an F1 race in terms of that pack style racing we are seeing at the moment, making just a bit of a struggle for these drivers to try and get by. That's car 22. Is that? I'm unsure as to who that is, actually. Car 22, though. After this race, it's actually quite a closely competitive race, if you know what I mean, there. As to the outside, late under the brakes and being squeezed wide there is Enzo Deligny and what is car 24 of Rivera. But they're side by side now as they come back out on the track. And that run down to turn 1 now is very, very important for Rivera, as Gilter now will run side by side with him. 6 minutes, 53 seconds to go. Who is going to be late under the brakes? Rivera, Deligny side by side to the outside. Deligny holding it there. They've been side by side now for 3 corners. Will they hold it up into turn number 2? Sideways off the road for Deligny. Rivera pushes him wide, and Deligny backs out, immediately knowing that threat is underway. And Deligny then grabs the position into the next corner. Rivera immediately regretting everything he's done. What a battle between those two. That battle, of course, for P5 and P6, what a battle. And they hung right around the outside. Both drivers doing an amazing job to leave racing room. Very important when it comes to racing like that. But a very good job Very late under brakes, actually, by both of them into the chicane. A very famous chicane. Very famous indeed. But yes, very late on the brakes from both of them. Surprised as to actually how they got both those cars stopped without running into each other. And, well, they found themselves on the other side, out in the dirt, out in the dust, and not in a very pleasant position either. They didn't lose any positions, but they did lose time to the cars in front of them. But that is Wang Zhai, who was actually out of this race, along with Frank Green, Jack Beaton, Aditya Kograni, and James Headley, the Queenslanding driver, along with Aaron Cameron. Aaron Cameron, sorry, he's not out of this race. He still sits in position 20. There's a few RSGP cars there. Rivera looking round back outside of Enzo Dellini, trying to do what Enzo Dellini done a few moments ago. Rivera has a run on him. He got a good exit now. He has a chance down here at turn number 1. Slipstream available for the Red Bull Academy driver. Watch out, turn 1. To the outside, Rivera. Can he stick it around there? No, he can't. Dellini covers. Very good racing there between those two. First race I've covered for Formula Reginol in a while. The rest of them have been covered by Jake Sanson. That last race was covered by Jake Sanson. First race I've covered in a while for this category. Freddie Slater leading this little group. P8, P9, P10, P11, P12. Yes, that battle pack is quite long. Of course, the next round we head to is Qatar. 2 races there for the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship, which will decide our championship, which will be round number 5, supporting the FIA Formula 1 World Championship of 2025. The motorbike circuit putting on a show, indeed. But yes, Akshay Bora, he still leads out in front. 4 minutes to go in this race.
Their seats at the moment as Bora faces the pressure from Bedrin. Lee is putting Brandon Badilla under intense scrutiny. Rivera is hustling also to Ligi. And now Slater's got the move on Evan Schilter in the battle for the championship. That's an important one. Down the back straight, we could see a couple of overtaking moves this time. And look, Akshay Bora is trying to shake off Nikita Bedrin. Focus, be careful, don't push too hard. You don't want to go too far over the apron. Meanwhile, Brandon Badua has got the biggest chance yet from Kanato Lee. Lee is going to try and dive to the inside. Badua's there to cover him. So Kanato Lee's going to try and go long. Can he cut back in and get a faster exit for the final turn than Brandon Badua, who has to take a more defensive stance? This could be a chance for Kanato Lee. We know how fast he can be round the outside. He's done it already once on Anso Deligny. Can he do it again on Brandon Badua? Side by side. Kanato, you've already done this once. Can you do it again? He backs down this time. Waits for Badua to take the lead in it, and then he can come back with a better line towards 3rd position. Great racing so far. But Kanato Lee hunting for that podium position. He really wants to take one off of Brandon Badua. He always seems to go well in the reverse grid races. He got a victory earlier this year, don't forget, in a reverse grid race. So this is going to be a really tricky situation for Kanato Lee. He wants to make the overtake, but he also doesn't want to overcook the car in the process. You've got to make these tyres go all the way to the end. So other than the one safety car we got at the start, it's been pretty clean as a whistle. Bedrin is still hustling to try and get ahead of Akshay Bora for the lead of the race, but Akshay Bora is not overdriving the car. He's keeping himself cool and calm. Can the RSGP driver hang on for the victory? Akshay Bora just trying to keep it nice and tidy. This is going to be such a difficult race for him to win, but it will mean so much if he can stay in front of Nikita Bedrin. He's had a miserable weekend, he's had a miserable season by his standards. He would have liked a lot more from it so far, but here he is, still trying to deal with Nikita Bedrin in the Santa Lock. When they come across the line this time, they'll have 2 laps to go. Don't think Bedrin's going to go for the manoeuvre into the chicane this time. So it should be okay for Akshay Bora. Lee's not close enough to Badua yet to go for the move into 3rd position. Bora and Bedrin go past my position, and they're doing okay. Similar now as Badua and Lee pass my commentary box position now. So it's all going to be a tough one to see if there's going to be a big move from Kanato Lee. Has Brandon Badua left the door too wide open? He's got to move. He does. Kanato Lee's coming from the far side. He's got to keep his car to the right of the VHM. in the hope that there's going to be some more grip to find. Deligny has now managed to pull 0.7 of a second on Rivera, and Slate is getting close to the Red Bull youngster as well, so watch out for that. In the last couple of laps, Slater could get into the top 6. Madu is having to defend. Big start from Kanato Lee, but he moves across the line to cover Kanato on the inside line. Bora still from Bedrin, no change. Padua sliding around, trying to keep Kanato Lee behind. The more you have to come off the racing line to defend your position, the more that the tyres are going to get worn. Be so careful. So let's see if they are going to continue this battle to the death. Padua, Lee, Deligny closing up on the two of them now. Also, Deligny could have a chance of a podium here. So far, so good for Akshay Bora, as the time is going to tick down to 0 as they approach the final straight. Akshay Bora just keeping it calm. Keep it together, Akshay. You're a smart lad. You can stay focused. You can do this. The first win in Formula Regional could open the corks of the bottle and really give you an amazing 2025 season. You've just got to stay focused. Nikita Bedrin is beatable. You're on top of it for the moment. You've got a gap. Just keep it. Time has run down to 0. Into the chicane. Perfect line from Bora. And side by side, Padua versus Kanato Lee. Lee still can't quite find a way past the McLaren Junior. Brandon Padua is doing everything he can to shake off Kanato Lee, and Kanato Lee will try again. Here he goes. Side by side off the turn. And Kanato Lee is going to go wheel to wheel with Brandon Padua. He'll pull a wheel in front, but is that going to be enough to get into 3rd position? Now they're on the last lap. They are not going to change positions. Padua holds it to the inside line. Last lap.
Last lap indeed, Padua. He is literally holding on with the tyres that he has. He doesn't have anything left on those rubber to be able to defend off Kanato Lee. A bit wide off the racing line there for Brando Padua. That will have hurt those tyres ever so slightly. There's no traction out on the dust. Padua, he just holds on. I think he might as he runs through the final corner on the Grand Prix circuit. And using all the ripple strip. And now out on to the Grand Prix straight. Akshay Bora, though, he's leading by less than 0.7. This would be his 3rd victory of this year. 2nd victory in terms of reverse grids. No longer a rookie, Akshay Bora, as he breaks into the final few corners. I think Brando Padua has just held on off Kanato Lee. Is he going to go for any last lap dives? Possibly. If he gets a good run off here, Enzo Deligny is just in behind. He could be the spoiler to all of this. Bedrin pulls out, tries to find a bit of clear air. Who's late under the brakes? Is it Nikita Bedrin? Pulling to the left, pulling to the right. Is he going to go for a dive? Bedrin late under the brakes and nearly hits in the back of Akshay Bora. But I think Bora's going to hold on, quite possibly. Bedrin using all the curb, run to the line. Who's going to win this race? It's going to be Akshay Bora, who wins race number 2 of the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship. What a race! And it's going to be Brando Padua, who takes 3rd. Kanato Lee, Enzo Deligny, Rivera, Freddie Slater, Reginol, Ugo Gachikwu, and his battle's going on further back. What a race! Bora wins by 0.1 of a second. Bedrin actually got a good run out of that final corner. Just wasn't able to convert it into a pass. But a very, very good race indeed for the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship. Bora just held on. What a race indeed.
Well, very interesting, very strange scenario. We'll try and figure out what's happened and where he's finished. Let's see as the drivers have come through here. So where is Evan Giltert? There he is. So that is the 95. Well, I don't quite know what's happened there, so we'll try and confirm where he's finished a bit later. It's clearly an electronics issue, but Evan Giltert, the transponder, appears to have had a little bit of a Harry-Carry moment. So problems then for Evan Giltert that are completely out of his control, but it does look like he finished the race in the points. But what a coming-of-age moment for Akshay Bora. His first victory in Formula Regional. The Euro 4 champion from last year, don't forget. And utterly deserving his success and his victory. He has been such a hard worker these last few years. I've known him and his brother Nikhil for quite a long time now, through their karting days, through their F4 graduations, and into the world of Formula Regional. His brother was a winner in Formula Regional, Nikhil Bora, very big talent himself. And now Akshay Bora continues the journey, adding to his Euro 4 championship campaign last year, where he took the title after a magnificent second half of 2024. And now he is going to be, in magnificent fashion, a race victor in Formula Regional. And with a driver like Akshay Bora, who needs validation at times that he is good enough to do this, everyone else knows he's good enough. Sometimes he needs to tell it to himself. With a race like that, when you've got Nikita Bedrin, an FIA Formula 3 driver, raining down all sorts of pressure throughout the course of the entire race, and Akshay Bora did not crumble at any point. That's going to be a moment of galvanisation. Hopefully.
Indeed, it will. But it is Akshay Bora who wins in race number 2 of the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship there. But what a race. That was very interesting indeed, from both drivers' POV as well. Would love some onboard footage as the cars get led back. There, Freddie Slater, all the cars getting led back into the pits. Or what would be, I don't know why they're being told to turn left there, but I guess we will wait and find out. Possibly heading into Parc Ferme, but pulling up is Akshay Bora, Brando Bardua, and Nikita Bedrin. Very strange sight to see on a podium like that, but it is Akshay Bora, the Indian driver. Puts the wheel back on the chassis and will celebrate. Akshay Bora wins race number 2 of the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship, and getting pats on the back by all the team down there. Very well deserved indeed. The Indian driver doing absolute amazing job. There is his dad. There is his crew as well. Some of the engineers looking through as we take a look at some of the race results. Akshay Bora, Nikita Bedrin, Brando Bardua, Kanatole, Enzo Delaney, Riviera, Freddie Slater, Evan Julter, Rashida Deheri, Ugochikru, and Hiyu Yamakoshi, who sits in position 11 in that one. We did hear that Evan Julter had a transponder problem, so that's the reason why he hasn't popped up on our timing screens. Jin Nakamura, Tai Takata, Ricky Liu, Everett Stack, Matteo Parlo, Kai Darianani, Huang Dat Sawyer, Alan Cameron, Dorian Pan, Yaroslav Veselau, and Chai. Brent Green, Wang Zhai, Jack Beaton, Aditya Kokrani out of this race, James Headley as well. So practically 5 retirements out of this race. James Headley, unknown as to actually what happened with that car either. So very interesting to see what will happen there, along with race number 3. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of this race. It's been a race and a half, more or less. Race and a half indeed. And that run down to turn 1, a few lockups happening as they made their way around the circuit. I think there was a bit of contact back there. Jake Sanson didn't point it out, but there was a bit of contact actually off that start. So it might have been there is Aditya Kulkarni pulling off the circuit, but that might be the cue to all our problems. That might be what happened to maybe a few of the cars. We did see an off-shot incident that happened that pulled out the safety car. I thought that was for Aditya Kulkarni, but it wasn't. Battles going on up and down the grid. This battle, Evan Julter and Enzo Deligny pulling side by side. That was very interesting indeed to see what would happen there. But these two just kept going and going and going at each other. They just didn't stop for most of this race. Just genuinely didn't stop. Rivera and Deligny, they ran side by side. And these two just went push and barge and push and barge and just didn't want to stop. Rachel Deheri there, pulling onto the back of one of the RSGP cars. And this was the dive that was almost shocked the nation there as to how that happens. But this highlight package is just full of overtakes, which is what we love to see in the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship here. This was the last lap attempt from from Nikita Bedrin on Akshay Bora. It wasn't going to happen. It was Akshay Bora the whole way around this circuit. 28 minutes plus 1 lap, and he wasn't able to be stopped. Highlights package says it all. He finishes in first place, and we're going to get the podium celebrations happening in just a few moments' time. So that's why I've actually covered the highlights packages. Normally you hear George Morgan if I'm doing the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, then you'd hear George Morgan doing it, or for example, Jack doing it as well. Well, I can't remember the other guy's name, but I know George Morgan definitely does do the Formula Regional Championship. Let's catch up with some of the drivers. Jake Stenson has them.
Second race of the weekend, Brando Badua, third position. Not bad in this race. It looked like tyre degradation was pretty tricky, especially when you were trying to keep Kanato Lee off your tail.
Yeah, definitely a good race. Started P5, managed to get on the podium. It's really important. Yeah, lately we've been struggling a bit. That's why it's even more a satisfaction, because it's important to get there even when you're struggling. We try to maximize the results. I think today I did pretty well so far. So yeah, the race was quite tough. I had a bit of tire degradation, a lot. And cars behind were pretty quick, so I had to defend on the last stages. But it went well, so I'm happy to jump on the podium.
I hope we get to see you be strong again in race 3 later. Good job.
I try to do my best, thank you.
Let's grab a word with the man in second position, Nikita Bedrin. Very tough race indeed for him, fighting for the victory all the way through. Nikita, that was a really tough race out there. The Santalock served you well. There just wasn't quite enough time to go for the victory in the end.
Yeah, we had a better pace at the end. Obviously, very happy with that. Just couldn't get close enough within that last half a second. It's really tricky with their TR here, but I'm really happy with the car that we had. I think we've done a good job, considering that I almost could go for an attack on the last lap. So it's a P2, but still we had a good pace, so that's the most important thing.
Looking forward to seeing what you can do with the third race. Great job.
Thank you.
Let's grab the man who's taken both the rookie victory and the overall victory, the latest winner in Formula Regional. Here in the Middle East Championship, Akshay Bora. That was such a tough race to command. It looked really tricky in the middle phase of the race in particular, but you managed to hold on to it. What was it like out there?
Yeah, launch was pretty good, and then safety car kind of, hurt me a bit because I couldn't keep that gap I had. But then I had a good safety car restart as well. Just got into the rhythm, and then, yeah, last few laps were a bit dicey. Maybe I pushed a bit too hard at the start, but in the end it was a pretty clean one. So thanks to the team for the hard work. I mean, really showed out there the pace we had, and yeah, just grateful.
Hopefully this sets the ball rolling for the rest of 2025. Great job.
Thanks.
So it is time to wrap up our coverage for the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship. We'll be back for race number 3 tomorrow. Until then, it's goodbye.